So then I will start with the introduction, if I get to the right screen. Yes, so open science is a movement.
Sorry, Anna, we don't see presentation mode.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
See your PowerPoint.
Okay. Let me then, how do I shift the screens?
Unshare and share the other screen. But I think you're not in presentation mode yet.
Okay, I thought I was. I stop sharing and then I will share again the other screen.
Yes, all good.
Yes? Okay, great. So open science is a movement that aims at more open and collaborative research practices, in which the research outputs are shared at the earliest possible stage and are made available for reuse. So what kind of practices do we mean with that? We, of course, know all about sharing our publications, scientific articles through open access. We are talking about sharing our data, but there are also other ways to do open science. So, for example, you can share the methodology for your research from the very beginning, so that later on you can prove that your research has been done according to your hypothesis in advance, and you didn't leave anything out of your research and didn't select anything. It could be open source, so opening the codes for your methodology. It could be open hardware, but it could also be open citizen science, so involving citizens in your research, that we actually also do within EJP SOIL. And there are also all kinds of other ways to do it. Why to do it? Again, there are different purposes, but as researchers, we really want to show what we have found with our research. So we want to share it with ourselves, for ourselves, and also with the others. And often we forget that, well, we always share through, for example, research articles through journals, but not everyone has access to these scientific journals, especially outside of academia and outside of Europe. It can be a problem. Also, EJP SOIL is a program that does science to policy interface. So we do a lot of our results. We hope that our results are being used in the policies. So that means that these people should be able to find our results. So it's for the impact, for the scientific impact, and for the societal impact. So what do we want to do within EJP SOIL? What we want to achieve? We would like to achieve that our results and outputs that we produce within EJP SOIL are findable, so everyone can find them. And if it is possible, and as much as possible, that all of our outputs are accessible. And as for the data, the soil data that we produce, we of course want these data to for others to be reused in the right way. So and interoperable means that also the machines can find this data, and reusable is maybe the most important component. The data and the results should be put in place in such way and described in such way that the others can use it. And of course, cite our work, which is important. Today, well, the European Commission and its research and innovation program, Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe, give priority to open science. So, but they also put requirements to the projects that they fund, and these requirements concern primarily publications and data. So today we will be talking about these two major important components, and I would like to show you some information also why we hold this webinar and have been holding similar webinars in the past. If you look at the outputs of scientific articles by, well, all types of publications by EJP SOIL, you will see graph here. It's information still from April, but you see that we are publishing a lot, and a lot more is coming. A lot of papers. What we see is that for us, it's difficult to disseminate your articles because we don't know they exist. So it means that they need to be reported in a proper way, and also they should fulfill the requirements of Horizon 2020. So I will be talking about that a bit later. As for the data, we are registering the data sets, open data sets that are produced by EJP SOIL in the EC portal. That is something that we really have to do. It's also a requirement. And you see here the screenshot from the EC portal. Up to now, we have registered 57 databases or data sets. But however, I know that, and I suspect that we have many more data sets that are available, and I would like you to help us to bring it all together and to make it available through different communication channels, not only through the EC portal, but also through our website and through the metadata catalog that Maria and Fanny will be talking about later today. We've been putting together a workflow. So who is doing what and what are we talking about? So if this is a part of the workflow. So especially in the projects, but also in our work packages, we produce deliverables. So remember that all deliverables in projects should be public. So then we see, so you deliver these deliverables through your project coordinator to work package 3, but you should ask yourself, are these deliverables scientifically meaningful? And all of it which is scientifically meaningful should be somehow findable and accessible and interoperable and reusable. So what is the action with the deliverables and other types? So you have scientific publication, manuscripts, you have reports, and in reports, I really mean all kinds of outputs. I'll talk about it later, and the data sets. So how to publish them. This is something we'll be discussing today, but also, so I will proceed without introducing it further to the first part that I will present myself. That's the open access for publications, reports, and underlying data sets. Let me see if there are questions so far. I don't think so, right? No, there's nothing in the chat. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about peer-reviewed articles, because it's really the most important outputs of research. So there are two ways that you can make your article open access. So today I will discuss this, briefly introduce you to the two. Probably you know quite a lot about it already. But this is something what Horizon 2020 is prescribing. So the first one is golden open access. So that's publishing your article through the open access platform of the journal. So there are two types of journals. It could be an open access journal, which is has a business model of open access, so it only publishes open access articles. So you pay your fee, and then your article is always open access. Other is the publishing in a hybrid journal, so the former subscription journals, when an individual article can be opened as an open access. For that, you would need to pay the fee, or your organization has a deal with the publisher, and then the APC, so-called APC, the article processing charges, is being paid by your institute. So it's important that when you publish your article in gold open access, you check for arrangements with your institute, for the publisher. And once your article is open access, you would still need to do something additionally. You would need to deposit the copy of your article, the PDF of your article, in an institutional repository or in Zenodo. Why is that? This is because if your article is published open access on a publisher's platform, if the publisher is getting bankrupt or is not existing after a number of years, the article will disappear. So it means that if you additionally store it in a repository, which has a more continuous life, then your article will still be able to be found and read. So this is something that Horizon 2020 is requesting, is upon publication, deposit your article in Zenodo or an institutional repository. That's the metadata and the PDF. I move one further and then come back. How does it look like? So, for example, I took here an example of an article published in the European Journal of Soil Science. It's an open access article. On the left side, you see a screenshot of the article on the publisher's platform. So that's open access. But when you have published it there, this article has also been published by the authors in the repository of Research Institute, ETH Zurich, in their own repository. It's also open access, but it's also stored in this repository. So in this way, you have two records of the same DOI, of course, two records of this article. This is what is needed from us. And the third action that you need to do is to report this article in a continuous reporting template of EJP SOIL, because otherwise no one would know that your article is published. In this way, we will make sure that your article is disseminated through EJP SOIL website. It is reported to the funder, but and for that you need to put some information there, including so not only the publisher's link to the article, but also the repository link. Otherwise, the article will not be accepted by the European Commission. Another road for publishing open access is the green open access road, also called self-archiving. When do we need to do this? This should be done only in case that your article has been published closed access, so that you didn't go to the open access journal, or you didn't choose for open access option through the publisher. So your article is published in a journal, but it's not open access. For that purpose, you go for the self-archive. What does it mean? It means that you deposit the final peer-reviewed manuscript in a repository, institutional repository or Zenodo. Because publishers put restrictions to the copyright, it would probably mean, so first of all, you cannot publish in most cases the PDF of your article, but also there would be an embargo sharing it. So meaning that, for example, in Elsevier, the embargoes are usually starting from 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Horizon 2020 prescribes that the maximum embargo for green open access should be 6 months, and with an exception of 12 months for social sciences and humanities. What does that mean? It means that after your manuscript has been accepted, but also before publication, you can also do it afterwards, but preferably before publication, you would need to ask permission from your publisher for this self-archiving. Here in the link is a template letter that you can use, and where you state that your article is funded by a public funder, in this case, by Horizon 2020, and that you need to fulfill the requirements of the funder, and that the maximum embargo period should be 6 months. And then you deposit this final peer-reviewed manuscript in a repository, in Zenodo or an institutional repository, and then again, you report, I think it's here, you report your article in the continuous reporting template, including its repository link and the embargo period. So how does it look like then? For example, if you use Zenodo, then when you register your article in Zenodo, you fill in the DOI that you have already received from your publisher. You also select EJP SOIL as your funding source, and then you add a CC BY copyright license to it. And then you upload the accepted version of your manuscript to Zenodo. And then you click on publish, and that's it. It's a very easy procedure, but you really need to do it. And then use the link that you get for the reporting template. So to summarize, for the open access, I think when you decide to publish your article, it's very important at that moment already to think about open access options. Are you going to go for an open access journal? Would it be a journal with open access individual options, or are you going to choose for the green open access? So consider these options when selecting the journal for publication, but also be aware of predatory publishers. That's something if you have questions, I can describe more, but please check where you publish, because sometimes there are websites that do as if they are homepage of the open access publisher, and they will charge you money and will not publish your article. And what can happen even worse is that they will publish your article and it will be a predatory journal, and it will be very difficult to get rid of this publication. So there are less, not all open access journals are to be trusted, so be aware. Here are a couple of links. One is to the checklist, how to identify a trusted journal. And a second one is maybe a handy tool that has been produced by the Finnish scientific community, is their opinion on what journals are to be trusted, what are good journals for us to publish in, and what not. So think in advance, check, and then submit. So now we have been talking about the scientific publications, the peer-reviewed publications. What else can we publish? So have a look and what is scientifically meaningful of the outputs that I've produced. There is an option to publish them in Zenodo or any other repositories. If you want to wait because, for example, you want to publish your report, but you also want to get part of that report as a scientific publication. You can also put an embargo period to your report so that the part of your results that you want to publish is published already, which is very important. When you want to publish your deliverables or reports, it could be policy briefs, posters, abstracts. Please make a DOI, so the digital object identifier, to your publication or report. It is important for citations, so it can be always cited for that specific place on the website. And so create the DOI when your deliverable or report is final. So after the confirmation from us, and it's easily being done in Zenodo, then you just apply for a DOI and then you immediately get one. And to it, also select the CC BY license, the copyright. With the copyright, you explain to the users and the readers how to reuse your work. There are different tastes of CC BY licenses, non-commercial, non-derivative, different ones. So you can choose the one that fits your purpose the best. But with this way, you you explain what you want the others to do with your work. And again, consider what else you want to share. Well, like I said, it could be also presentations, PPTs, videos, any other material. Well, very often, of course, when we publish a scientific paper, we use it based on a data set. Is it, you see nowadays that more and more the journals are also asking to provide a data set that you used for your publication, so it can be verified. Your interpretations can be verified. Also, Horizon 2020 is requiring us to provide data sets that are used, that are underlying a publication, to share it or to make it accessible, so to have it open access. In cases when you publish an article with someone else's data or with no new data set, you don't need to provide the data. It is valid only for new data. So what to do, how to handle it, what to do. Horizon 2020 says that you have to provide open access to the underlying data set as soon as possible. So preferably immediately, but it could be done later on. So what is expected from you to do? Deposit the data set and the metadata describing the data set in an eligible repository. For example, Zenodo. Provide a DOI, the same as for the publications. And that way, your data set itself becomes a publication, a separate publication. Provide it with a license, again, the same as for publication, how you want others to reuse your data set. And what is very important is that your data set is well linked to your article and the other way around. In the article, you can add a link to the data set. What we also see is that some publishers ask you to provide underlying data set, and they publish it as a supplementary material on their website. This is not the eligible way to store the data set. It should be stored in an eligible repository, which is Zenodo or your institutional repository. Why? Because again, if the publisher gets bankrupt, then the data set will be lost. So in this case, you just neglect the request for the supplementary material from the publisher, and you publish your data set in a Zenodo. So when we talk about reporting of publications and the related data sets, so what did we learn today? As there are a number of things that you need to report. The type of your publication, the title, the author's title of the journal, is it peer-reviewed? If it is peer-reviewed, then it should be open access. So you should always report yes in the template. It could not be no. If it is no, then you still need to take some actions. So open access is mandatory for peer-reviewed publications. Then you should also provide the DOI and the repository link. So the repository link is mandatory for all publications, even if your article is golden open access. And then with the underlying data, it is mandatory for peer-reviewed articles to provide a repository link to the data if the data set is if you use new data. So and again, what is something else that I should mention is the acknowledgement of to EJP SOIL. It's mandatory to acknowledge it, and this is the suggestion for the text. So it means that you need to provide the name of EJP SOIL, the full name, and the number of the grant, and that it was funded by the European Union Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. You do it in your article, and you also do it in Zenodo. So that's briefly about publishing manuscripts or scientific publications and reports. So what the actions are that you need to take is to report the DOI to your project communication representative if you work in a project, and to the national communication representative if you work in a work package, and then they will report it to work package 9. And if for the data sets, you need to upload a data set to Zenodo or other repository, and please look whether embargo is needed. And then if there is no way to open the data set because it is produced outside of EJP SOIL, then you don't need to deposit it anywhere. And then you report the metadata from the data sets to the metadata catalog of EJP SOIL. And this is something that Maria and Fanny will be talking about in a moment. So if you have any questions about that, you can find information back on the requirements of the Horizon 2020 on this website, and ask us questions, of course. So I've seen that there are 14 questions in the chat. I can look at it maybe a bit later while Maria and Fanny are talking.
Maybe there's one or two that could fit with because it really fits to what you just presented. The first one would be by Boel Stenberg asking that someone at EJP already deposited many publications in Zenodo without the knowledge of authors, but the journal DOI is used. How should we act on this?
Okay.
I know there's been an email conversation this morning, but maybe it's good to discuss here.
Yeah, that's true. So when we have reported the publications to the European Commission, we used the information that was provided by the authors, and in 60%, there was no sufficient information and the publications didn't fulfill the requirements of the European Commission. So these publications were rejected. So what we did is see what the actions needed to be taken. And in many cases, the repository link was missing. So what we have done is the colleague from INRAE, who is here, also Christina, who is here in this webinar, she has been doing a lot of work to deposit and also Savage from Work Package 9 to deposit these articles in Zenodo by using the same DOI. And we didn't contact the authors for that because anyone can also submit the PDF of the publication in Zenodo because it's exactly the same information. There is nothing additional to it. So it's the same DOI if everything is right, and it's a different version of the article in Zenodo. So that's so you as author don't need to take any other action. Otherwise, then take into account that next time you submit the article, please also include the repository link. So it means that you will need to preferably to deposit the article in Zenodo yourself, that we don't need to do it.
Is that clear?
Yeah, I can complement, because I think that the question from Bo is that about the DOI, because are we sure that the DOI of the paper will be permanent? Because I know when you upload in Zenodo, you can ask for Zenodo to produce a DOI, or you can use a DOI that you already have. So in this case, we are using the DOI of the publication. But are we sure that this DOI will be maintained in the future, or maybe this is not a problem because in the case the DOI is not functioning, you can still change? I don't know, which is our position in this case.
Well, if the paper is open access, it will, with the publisher, the Zenodo version will have the same DOI. So we have chosen for the same DOI, I think, or at least I hope. So then there's no any problem for that. And otherwise, we hope that the DOI with Zenodo will be a permanent one. Bo, would you like to
yeah, my point with the DOI was that if the purpose of depositing at Zenodo was to make sure that the paper is still there if the journal goes bankrupt, then if the DOI of the journal DOI will disappear if the journal goes bankrupt, then it's no point. Because then it will be lost in everything anyway. So in that case,
DOI
it should be another
permanent.
DOI.
Yeah, DOI is always permanent, but then the access to the article could be stopped, and then it would be replaced by the Zenodo version. That's the idea.
But then no one will know that version.
Well, it's they will, because it's in this Zenodo copy is linked to the same DOI.
Okay, okay, I trust you on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
a lot of people have been thinking
it was still not
that.
clear to me if the paper or publication is uploaded by. So the reason that you uploaded it on Zenodo is that we hadn't already, but we had delivered them as deliverables. Is that?
No, the paper was not uploaded in Zenodo. It was only a copy. It was only a link to the publisher, which was open access, but it is not the repository.
But the ones we can see in Zenodo, they must be deposited, or? No, I'm
they
really
are deposited.
Confused.
Yeah. Okay. If maybe I can go back to the.
I mean, the case is that we tried to because we understood that we should upload them to Zenodo. We hadn't understood that before, so we started to do that, and then someone in the consortium found out that the journals or the papers were already there, and then should we upload them again, or is that good enough?
Then it's good enough.
Okay.
So that would be, in this case, I think that's what you mean, is that the DOI of these two copies is the same.
Yeah. Skip the DOI. I'm satisfied with that.
Okay.
but okay then. So if we can't find our publications in Zenodo already, then we upload them.
Yes.
Then we upload them. Okay.
And you use the existing DOI of the article.
Yeah, and then in that case, because I also realized that the publication you uploaded or someone at EJP uploaded, they were tagged with EJP SOIL.
Yes.
Should we do that as well? And how do we do that?
Yeah, you can do it easily, because when you upload it in Zenodo, it will, like here on the right side down, you see, you can choose what is the grant of your article, with what was it funded, and then you choose EJP SOIL, and then it automatically gets also the number with it.
Okay, great.
So it's tagged to EJP SOIL then.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Fanny, do we have any urgent questions?
Well, there's a couple more, but maybe what we could do is, if you could go through the questions in the chat while Maria and I start presenting some of the things that, like for example, the funding, we also have it on a slide. So we could continue the presentation, and please keep putting questions in the chat. And maybe Anna, if you could go through the remaining questions,
yes,
then we can see at the end what is left.
Okay. So Fanny, you share the presentation now?
I will start sharing and Maria will start presenting. Okay. Is it okay like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now we are going to speak about the sharing of the data. So therefore the data that has been used for the publication, or in any case, data that is handled by our project. Both the data itself and also the metadata. So we can go in the next slide. When we work in research, we use different sources for our research. That can be data collected by governmental agencies or industries, or by ourselves in our research institutes. And so every data set that has been produced has an owner. In this sense, there are different sharing rules that we should apply. And the aim of the catalog that will be presented by Fanny is to get at least the list of the metadata of all the data that we have used under EJP SOIL, both data set that we have produced and data set that we have used in the research, but we did not produce. So can go in the next. So we have analyzed at the beginning of the project about the sharing rules, and we have found that in the consortium agreement there are different rules applying to the different data that we are using in our research. So in the case of the data that is not produced with the money, I mean with the funding of the EJP SOIL, but is produced by other fundings, both before EJP SOIL start or collected from our other owners, we should follow the sharing rules of these other owners. So in the case this data has been given to us to be used, but we cannot share it, we should follow these rules, and we are not allowed to share openly. But in case of the data that we produce under EJP SOIL with the funding of the EJP SOIL, we are obliged by the rules of Horizon 2020 to share openly. We can apply an embargo period, but finally it should be open. We found that there were, in some countries, there were some restriction to the coordinates, but this depends, is really depend on each country. So this is something that you have to check depending on the country you belong. But as a generally speaking, the dataset produced under EJP SOIL should be open. So we suggest to use a CC BY as a open license. So you publish open and you cite the producer, the researcher that has produced this data set. I think that we can go to the next one. Okay, so what does it mean to share a data set? The requirement is that the repository in which you upload the data set should be persistent. This means that will last more than 20 years. And what is suggested by the Commission is to use both or Zenodo or other national repositories. The requirement is that this repository should be guaranteed to be persistent. It is very important to include metadata, so to describe the data set with all the necessary information. For us, it's very important also to make for sure cite EJP SOIL. And the citation correct is as EJP SOIL with the two terms together. Otherwise, you will not find the data set as linked to EJP SOIL. And as I told you, the license is CC BY. We suggest a CC BY, and there are different kinds of CC BY, but I think it's not in this presentation today. We have given this information in other occasion. And when you upload on Zenodo, for example, but also in other permanent repository, you will get the DOI. And this is very important. This is what is requested to be reported to the Commission, so the DOI of the datasets. Then for other information on the sharing restriction and sharing licensing, we have produced a very, which apply in the different countries. We have produced a very wide report that is actually published on Zenodo. And there is the link also in the presentation here. I can put the link to the Zenodo to this report in the chat up when I pass the floor to Fanny. I think that this was my last. Yes, okay, this was my last slide.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. And I'm borrowing here from the probe field project, but we had an annual meeting and we also discussed this whole topic. And one of the colleagues put up this example of how to upload in Zenodo. What are some peculiarities? So just to show you what the interface looks like, what kind of things you could indicate and how that all works, just to make it a bit more tangible maybe. So this is where you would start if you go to Zenodo. This is maybe the front page. On the top right, you see a little plus. In this case, Konrad Metzger, who made these slides, he was logged in, but I don't know if you need that to do that before to start a new upload. So you choose new upload, and then you can actually upload all the files that are relevant. So you can make that into one item. You can save it as a draft. So even if you need to figure out a couple of things in the meantime, so which file exactly or what metadata or this author, what were their initials, you can always save it as first draft and then come back to it later on. And you can obviously also put up an embargo. So that is also what Anna was mentioning. You can indicate here if you need to put on an embargo. And here on the top, on the left-hand side, you see, this is just part of the screen, but you see a lot of fields that you're automatically asked to fill in. the first question is, do you already have a DOI for this upload? So if it is not a data set, but an article, you could say yes, and then it asks you to fill in that DOI. If you say no, it will make one for you. So that is very easy, I would say, and allows you to to very easily get a DOI for your data set or your article. And when you go through the list, it asks for publication date, for title, for the authors, keywords, a short description, etc. If you go through that list, you actually will fill in most of the or all of the required or useful metadata to make that data set fair. So it will allow people to find your data set, to understand what it's about, and to judge whether or not they could use it for their subsequent research. So this is another reason why we would propose to store your data set separately from your article, because you might want to write several articles about the same data set, or it might be used together with other data sets for a new publication. So that data set is a unique thing, entity that you could refer to. And here on the right is the funding tab, and that is also what was shown by Anna. So here you can indicate which grants or which awards were used to make that research happen, so the funding of it all. And also here you can link to, for example, articles or other related publications that this data set pertains to. And now on the metadata catalog, so the first thing that we would all ask you to do is please deposit the data that is produced in EJP SOIL in a persistent repository. And that can be Zenodo, that can be something else. And indicate the persistent identifier, unique identifier. So that's either a DOI or maybe some other unique identifier. Please report that to work package 1, or if your project first to work package 3, you will then report it to work package 1. And from there, we as work package 6 would harvest that, would fetch that from that location and deposit it in the metadata catalog that we built. So why did we build that? Because we wanted to have an overview of everything that is produced in EJP SOIL, also for reuse within EJP. So also within the community and maybe also beyond. And we also uploaded all the metadata in the stock takes that we did in the beginning in this same catalog, also trying to help you to find data that is already out there that can be used for research. So in that catalog, which is a collection of data, of metadata, I'll show you in a bit, it has data produced in EJP SOIL and it has national data sets. And because we understand that this is not something that you do in everyday life, maybe, we also provided some guidance. So there's a link there that will allow you to go step by step through all those different steps. We understand that you're mostly working on the research itself and that this is sometimes an afterthought. So we're trying to make it easy because it really also boosts the research and the impact. So how does it work? The front page is really just a search box with some explanation. And when you type in this case, for example, Carbosec, you get an overview of the data sets that pertain to Carbosec. There's a search window, so you see a geographic footprint of where the data sets are. You can search by country, you can search by EJP SOIL projects. So those are filters in that catalog that allow you to find data sets more easily. At the moment, this is the numbers from yesterday. So these are the numbers of metadata entries that are in the catalog at the moment. So you see quite a lot of national records. This is not entirely pure because some of the project data sets obviously are also from a certain country. So if that is described, then you would find it here as well. But it indicates that there's quite a lot of metadata available of national or subnational data sets that pertain to your country or could be used. From the projects, the score is a bit lower, obviously. So, well, we're at the end of EJP SOIL, so many projects might not have produced data, geographical data. or are still in the process of uploading it or preparing it. And that's why we're having this webinar, obviously, so those numbers could increase. I should mention that the number for EJP soil is not representative because there's also a keyword called EJP soil stocktake. So that kind of skews that, that number. So what would it look like? Again, a couple of examples. So if I fill in LTE, long-term experiment, I get one record of the metadata set that was made in the context of EJP on this. And if I click on this, I see a couple of keywords. I see the geographic extent. I see who contributed, which is quite a lot of people. Contacts to publish, or to, if you would like more information, who to contact. And also the temporal extent, and the external identification, which is the DOI. So here you can click immediately on that link, and that brings you to Zenodo where the actual data is. And on the right-hand side, for example, you can see a download link where you can get everything in more detail. If we look at another example, this was Lithuania. So if I search for Lithuania, I get 7 results. And then when I click on one, I don't understand what this says, but I do understand it's about Lithuania. It was created, I can contact the person who made it, and there's a web mapping service I can click through, and that can bring me to the spatial dataset portal of Lithuania, where I can find a lot of information about those datasets. So this is a way in which you can search and find datasets for your own research, for your project, for your paper, but also maybe in the future as a point of reference. Maybe some more functionality. Here you see an example from Flanders where you see much more keywords. So that's very useful because it helps understand what is in that dataset. And also there's a lot of different ways. Here you see on the right-hand side the web services that are available. There's a lot of different ways how to interact with that data set. So yeah, that gives a lot of potential for reuse. Here I have another example of an entry by Italy. And it says the global soil organic carbon map. We had a discussion earlier with Maria where I said, well, I was looking through this item and I thought, oh, global soil organic carbon map, that must be the global of the whole world soil organic carbon map. And Maria clearly said, well, yeah, but it is the Italian subscription or the contribution of Italy. And I can see that because I see that CREA is and the country Italy are the ones that contributed this. But we had a little bit of a discussion. So okay, but maybe the title is not fully representative of what it means, or what is in that data set. So we discussed how can you then in such cases improve the metadata if you think something is maybe off or could be better. The ideal way is to please update it at the source. So in many cases, that's the repository itself. So in Zenodo, in Inspire, in the Open Data Portal, in your institutional portal, and maybe in any other persistent repository in your Dataverse. So that's where you could do it. Another option that is a bit more persistent, more towards EJP, would be to just change it in this catalog. And if that's using Git, because this is all built on Git, another option could be to send a message to the contact box in the top right. Maria did the edit me on Git option. So here on the bottom right, you can click on edit me on Git. And then you go to, you will see this Git interface where quite a lot of metadata of that record are visible. And she asked, can you please update this title? And she asked to update the title and also the location. So it had an IP address that had GSOC map in it. And then she uploaded it in the meantime, between making the record and what she wanted to edit now, to have it point to Zenodo. So she deposited the dataset in Zenodo and wanted to also in the metadata catalog to be visible to point to the Zenodo upload. So that's what she did. She asked for those changes. She sent it up, and then it comes in Git. Then one of the admins, oh, I see I missed one, actually sees that, and then I can click yes, accept that change, and then it's visible. And here you see the new title that Maria proposed, and also the Zenodo link as the repository to go to, the item to go to. So this is, and then here, if I click on that, I come to the Zenodo entry of the elaboration of the Italian portion of the global soil organic carbon map. So this is an example. This could hold true for many other entries. So there's a lot of entries that maybe are not super clear in the title, or maybe by now you've uploaded to Zenodo and you would like to point to that or to another repository. This is a very easy way to change those kind of things. But obviously, if it's anything else, also please change it at the source. So the metadata of the source, where the DOI is the most relevant, because that's where everyone will start harvesting. So basically, if you want to change anything, please do it at the source. Otherwise, also when it's part of the national stock takes, edit me on Git. If you don't have a Git account and you don't want to make one, and this looks too difficult, that's fine. Then just send an email to the contact. So that's also the bottom on the top right. But please refer to the metadata catalog, the fields you want to change, and the edits itself. So we could easily do it on the back end ourselves. If you're wondering where can I find all of this, it's on the website. So if you go to the website, you go to research and then soil data monitoring, mapping and modeling, there you find the catalog itself. You see the back end, so the Git, and also all the guidance to do this. These are some examples. So we have basically two questions for you. There's two types of entries in the catalog. Please report your data sets. As you report also your articles, deposit them in a persistent repository and report the link to the common channels, just like you do for any other outputs of EJP. So we can then harvest and put it in the catalog. And the second one is please check what is already in, because we did those stock takes 5 years ago. And things might have changed. Maybe you also deposited in Zenodo in the meantime. Maybe the name is not correct. Maybe you can add some more keywords. Maybe something else is different. Please check what is in there, because in the end, this metadata data set, all of this, we will also deposit it or have to deposit it in Zenodo. We will need to send this also to JRC, who might use it in the EU Soil Observatory. So that means that metadata is going to go on. So we really call upon you, please go there, have a look, check for your country, for your project, if everything that's out there is correct. And otherwise, please, well, change it at the source, make sure it's on the reporting templates. And yeah, edit if needed. Again, here's the link to the guidance. And that was this part of the graph. So also for data sets, it's basically what we said already 3 times, but this is really the key message that we would like you to take from this webinar is there is this workflow, and for all the different types of deliverables, everything just deposit in a persistent repository, report it in the reporting templates, and then we will make sure that it gets into the catalog for in the case of data. And please check what is in there if that is correct. I don't know, I see a lot of activity in the chat, so I don't know if there's anything to answer now, or Maria, if you want to add something, or if
yes,
you want to continue with the workflow.
If you want to come back to the slide, the previous one. Yes, I think that since I told about the sharing rules, you see that in this slide it is also mentioned closed data set, which cannot be shared, but the metadata can in any case be shared. So I think that it is important also to report in the catalog the metadata of this data set, so that people that want to access to this data set can connect with the owner and ask for permission to have access to these data sets. So I think that this is also very, very important point.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I went maybe a little bit too fast on this slide.
Yes, and I see that Raja is mentioning their data set that they are producing under Minotaur that is very interesting. Yesterday I was in a meeting that was organized by Raja on this, and I was wondering how could we do, because they are also producing a metadata catalog, and I was suggesting to them to participate to this meeting because I think that this data and metadata should also be stored and mentioned, at least the metadata inside the EJP SOIL catalog. So
yes, so the easiest way to go about that is if you deposit the Minotaur catalog as with a certain timestamp in a persistent repository, which would be required. To just refer that then and link in the EJP SOIL words to provide the DOI in the reporting template, then we will harvest here. And in that way, it can be accessed through the catalog as well. So there will be one record then on the Minotaur metadata catalog. And then when you click through, you will get through to the, you can provide multiple addresses. So you can provide the DOI in Zenodo. You can also, if you have it in a web link somewhere else, you could also provide those web links so people can find it at least. I think it's difficult to import all of the separate records because if I'm correct, you really added a lot of extra metadata fields because it persists to the biological soil data that are not really easily searchable in this catalog. So probably it's for users that are really looking for those biological data sets. It's easier or is serviced better to search that in your interface. But it would be really great if it's findable. I actually checked yesterday, and there's one record from Minotaur, but I don't think it's the metadata catalog yet. So I would propose to at least link it like that, and then we can discuss any other ways that make sense. Are there any questions? Do you want to continue, Anna, with the last slides, or?
Maybe there is a question that was not handled in the chat. It was about, I think there was one on was it Summit? I cannot find it back anymore. Oh yeah, for Summit from Alessandra. For Summit, we created a community in Zenodo where publications and data sets are uploaded. The link to the community is in the reports. Is this sufficient?
The link to the community is valuable and we could use it. I would say to also report the DOIs separately in the reporting template, so we can also point to the separate data sets. So not just to the community, but also to the data set. And for the community, you could provide a separate entry in the catalog as well. So people point to it. But I think for Summit, I don't know if I've found it. Let's see here on the list.
But I think it's very good in any case, when you have publications and data sets, please report them through the regular reporting channels that exist within EJP SOIL, so that the PCR from Summit would, I don't know whether that is you, Alessandra, would know where to report. And I think that the data set should be reported to work package 1. And the publications to work package 9.
So if I would quickly go here.
But I think it's excellent that you created your own community in Zenodo. That's really I think it makes things easier to find.
Okay, thank you. If I can ask something, because probably there is some problem in the communication. I'm not the PCR, I'm the coordinator. Okay. But since I've seen that in the records, there are no records from Summit, but also from other projects that I know that there are records, there are publications, there are data sets. but are not probably are not yet in the catalog, and I didn't understand exactly how to do this, how to report in the catalog.
So basically, if you provide the DOI where it is in the reporting template, we will automatically import.
Okay. So,
So
okay, yes,
if we
are
go
in the
to
reporting template. Okay.
Yeah. So if I go to, well, then I'm jumping the horse a little bit, but so there's these different types of deliverables for all holds the same thing. So please put it in a repository and then report it in the work package 1 Excel, or if it's, I mean, in case of Summit or work package 3, will be first to the work package 3 Excel, and then that makes sure we will get, we make sure we get that list as work package 6, which we will use to make those records in the catalog.
So probably the point is the work package 3 Excel, because I report all DOI and outputs in the monitoring report, but is a Word document, it's not an Excel.
It could be.
Okay. I don't know, Johanna is not here, right? So
No, there is
we
no
have
one from
someone
work package 3,
Oh,
but
yeah.
maybe Raisa knows.
I know it's a continuous reporting template that I share yearly within the consortium. So I share it with work package leaders and work package 3, and it's sent to you by mid-February normally. So all work internal project leaders receive it, and then there you report your data sets inside this Excel file actually.
Is an Excel file. Okay, so probably
Maybe
Okay,
there
so
are
it's
too
much
many,
easier.
just you're a bit lost. It happens.
Yes. For sure.
There are a lot of
Thank you.
reportings. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But
and
it's always a good way to just to use your logic and think, okay, I would like to share my data, with whom can I share it, and then just
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you have also any questions, or if you would like us to make an extra record, or if there's any changes, please just reach out and let's fix it, right?
Yeah, so that maybe leads us to again to this workflow form that was created for a project specifically, but for the work packages it's a similar thing. Is that something what we didn't discuss yet was the, oh, you're in the presenter mode. Oh yeah.
Sorry, wrong one.
Is that part on the right side? So who is doing what? Is that so the project coordinator takes care that the deliverables are uploaded to the SharePoint of work package 3, and project coordinator reports data sets to work package 1, so that's to Raisa. You said, Raisa, in February there will be an Excel sheet that would need to be submitted. So this is the official way. And so how it also works, once you deliver, when you upload deliverables to work package 3 SharePoint, work package 3 coordinators will send the project coordinator confirmation that the deliverable is in an acceptable format. At that moment, your deliverable is finalized. Then you can apply get a DOI and a CC BY license to it, and then proceed with the dissemination. The project team discusses which deliverables are scientifically meaningful, and then project coordinator takes the decision. The author reports the DOI of the deliverables and publications to the project or communication representative, and project coordinator communicates the DOI of the data sets to work package 1 and 3. And then PCR, the project communication representative, reports the DOI of the deliverables and publications in the continuous report for work package 9. This is something that being harvested once in several months, I think, but it's a continuous report and to be found on a SharePoint. So that's basically what we wanted to show you. And then, Fanny, would you like to tell something about this session on the 9th of September?
Yeah, we thought that it might, I mean, it has been presented, this same story has been presented at the annual Science Days in Vilnius and now in this webinar, but I can imagine it's quite a lot, and many projects and also maybe work packages are right in the middle of their reporting. So now the data sets are coming up, the papers are coming out, the reports, the deliverables. So we can imagine that we just had 1.5 hours now, that there might be questions that pop up later. You think, well, but they didn't really discuss that, or I didn't fully get it. So we thought maybe it makes sense to just open a Teams meeting where we can just pop in if you have any questions next Monday, when you have a little bit of time to digest all of this, and just ask us any questions that you have. And I was wondering if it's useful to do that more regularly later on. That's just an open question, an idea. Because it's maybe not for everyone an everyday thing to think about this, about open science, about where to publish, which are the reporting streams, etc. How is that again with metadata? So if it makes sense, if you think it's helpful, we could just put in the agenda a couple of these slots where if you have a question, you can just join in. There will not be any presentation. It's just us being available to you to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, for your specific situation, for your specific question. Fanny, can you please put the link into the chat, because I'm not sure we will be able to get this PowerPoint presentation online today already. So
sure. Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions. These were the last slides that we had prepared. So we still have some time for questions, the dilemmas, challenges. I don't know if we answered everything from the chat, or if any other
concerns. Yeah,
concerns.
Jessica was asking if the chat of the meeting can be shared.
The chat of the meeting shared with whom?
No, I understood wrong the question.
Oh. I think Johanna Wetterlind has a question. Johanna, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It's just to make sure that I understood the last thing regarding where we report it, because am I right in understanding it's this joint Excel sheet where we report the papers with the links, and we report that's also where we report the data, right? That we usually have to send in December, or is it another? Just to be sure.
Well, there are two reportings. One of the publications and the underlying data. So if there is a data set underlying publication, you should enter it in the publication continuous reporting template. But the data sets on their own go to another reporting. That's the one that we were discussing, that Teresa indicated that project coordinators get this template to fill in February.
Yeah, and that was
it's a different one.
Yeah, and that was my question, because if our projects are finalized this year, are we still? So when do we? We still report that in February. I hope, because now it's a little bit too tight for us to manage before the 15th of September. We will not do it, I think, but of course we can do it before the end of the year if that's. But just to make sure that we do right.
Raisa, can you maybe answer this question?
Publications, like as you explained, collected continuously by work package 9. I think you were all shared with the link that is somewhere online. Maybe we could reshare it again, but Yes, the data set, the part of continuous reporting, but actually it's a part of our annual reporting that we are supposed to submit by end of March every year. So it will be again end of the March next year, even though the project will be finished by then. So the data sets will be, and also like intellectual property and other relevant issues will be reported by mid-February by internal projects to your work package 3 that will be then shared with work package 1, as we did for the live years.
Super good. Thank you.
I think for the metadata catalog and for dissemination of our results, it's good if the data sets are, well, can be shared before that. So the sooner we know, the better. But then what would then be the way to send the links to the metadata catalog? Fanny and Maria?
I think it would be nice if it comes in the same way, but maybe fill in the template earlier, if that's possible. In the end, we just need a list of DOIs. That's the only thing we would need to be able to harvest.
Would it be helpful if,
So-
for example, you have a set of data sets as a project that the project coordinator sends it to
Yes, that could be.
the email of the metadata catalog?
Yeah, and you could already, I mean, the templates, I'm guessing, is not really going to change. So if those are ready, you could, while the DOIs come up, already put it in yourself. So you don't need to do that only at the end, but you can do that continuously. And you could just send us a copy. If you go to the metadata catalog, then the contact button, an email will pop up. If you please just put which project you're from and that it's EJP SOIL, and send that template or that list. That's great. Then we can just harvest from there. But I'm wondering, Paul, are you still in the meeting? Could you comment? Is that a feasible way? I don't know if he's still there. Oh,
I can just answer from Steropes then. So another part that, I mean, of course we don't have to wait until February to put in the data, but just good to know that it's just going to be a bit tight to manage before the 15th of September, if it would have been kind of part of that. But of course we will do it as soon as we have it ready. And if it helps you, we can collect it and send it to you in so that you get more or less all of it at once, or if you prefer to get it continuously, it's up to you actually.
So we have a deadline to provide the final due database of project results. I'm thinking in end of November. Maria, am I correct? So if before November you could send us that list, that would be great. We will need to do an update anyways after the end of the actual project. But if you could send us that list of everything that you have, like end of October, early November, that would be great.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you.
Fanny, there is a question also from a colleague of an external project, and ask if this that we are reporting applies also to external project, and I think so, because they are financed by external financer, but they are still under EJP SOIL, under Horizon 2020, so I think so.
Yeah, I think so. In the end, the metadata catalog is just a means to an end. So we would like to give your data sets better or more exposure and to make them more easily findable. That's the aim in the end, just to help science and to help ourselves and maybe also the future impact of EJP SOIL. So yes, sure, that would be great.
I know that work package 4 is collecting information from the external projects, not directly work package 1 or 9. But so for the formal reporting, that would be work package 4. But if you would like to get more exposure, and we will be happy to disseminate external project results and publications and data sets. So your information is very welcome.
Yeah, maybe one final reminder for all internal research projects that we are supposed to submit our final revised data management plan for the 5-year of the projects by end of November. That means that the all data sets should be updated in your revised data management plans for the projects that will be all submitted together with the final data management plan. So in this case, you can submit them through those DMPs, and then we can share them with work package 6 for metadata catalog. So it doesn't matter which way it comes, but just please make sure that it comes to work package 1, work package 3, and work package 6 in parallel. So that they simply do not get lost and reported some one way or another, and then fed to the metadata catalog.
Yes, and that the data sets that you promise in the data management plan would just please make sure that you know that you will be able to provide them at the end, these data sets. Because otherwise the project will not be closed until everything has been delivered.
That's true.
All right, are there any questions that you would like to ask? And if not, then I would like to thank all of you for joining, and especially those who contributed to this webinar, but also to all of you who came to listen. And I would like to wish you good luck with writing and with writing papers and with preparing data sets. And we'll be happy to help you with any questions. And please let's disseminate and valorize our EJP SOIL results together.
Thanks everyone for joining, and good luck.
Yes.
Please reach out with questions if you have.
Bye-bye.
Bye.